Welcome back to another episode.
Hi.
Hey.
What's up?
Are we just going to keep going?
I mean, if you want to.
No, I'm good. All right. We are continuing on our study. Are we doing two more? And then we're calling it for this one, right?
I think so.
Yep. This is one of the two. In case you were wondering. Asha?
Hey everyone. Today I'll be telling you viral TikTok items and you'll tell me if you would buy it.
Okay.
Are we trying to guess the price too or just the usefulness?
I thought they had the prices on here, but they don't.
Gotcha. Okay.
So just if you would.
Okay.
Okay. The first one is a home touchless stationary vacuum.
Is it like the robot ones?
Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
use that.
guess. Yeah.
We have one. Like a shark one.
Getting lip products or face products on TikTok.
No.
I would do lip products, but I have sensitive skin, so I wouldn't do face products. Unless it was like from a verified, like, it is the company just through there.
Yeah. If it's just TikTok shop, yeah, no. I'm not
Yeah,
buying
like
it.
a random seller? No, thank you.
Definitely not.
A mini bag sealer and cutter.
Oh, we have one of those.
A bag sealer.
I feel
and
like I
cutter?
can get that anywhere, so not from TikTok Shop. Yeah, like, you know the heat sealers?
Oh. I don't really use it now, so why would I buy it?
That's true.
Clothing.
No.
Yeah.
From just a generic TikTok shop?
I mean, it depends on what it is and where it's from.
The generic TikTok shop?
Gym equipment.
Equipment?
No.
Yeah, like treadmills.
I wouldn't use it. Do you know what I've seen everywhere? And I'm like, I don't need this, but I want it. But I'm not going to use it. Like the mini steppers.
What is that?
It's like a stepping machine, but it's like just the bottom thing, and it has like. The arm.
Oh yeah.
People are like, yeah, I just do this while I watch my one episode of my TV show, and I'm ripped. You know.
A Ninja Creamy.
I wouldn't buy that anywhere.
Oh, what?
Ninja Creamy.
Ninja, like the company,
Yeah.
and then creamy.
Do you
it
know what
makes
that
things
is?
like ice cream.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no.
Hair removal kits.
No.
Probably not. I feel like it's gonna burn my skin off or
Yeah.
something.
I wouldn't trust anything from TikTok
I would.
that's going to touch my skin.
If it was recommended on TikTok, I would like look up the actual, like on Amazon or something, the product before I get it off TikTok Shop.
A smart toaster.
I
No.
wouldn't buy that anywhere.
Would you buy any appliances from TikTok?
Probably not. Why do I need a toaster when I have a tawa? You know? So throw it on there.
Hair appliances.
If it was really convincing, I would consider it, but it's just gonna sit in the pile of all the other things hair appliances I've bought that I'd never used.
Probably not, because I really don't use a lot of hair appliances. So,
Air diffusers.
I'm going to say no, just because I don't know what it is, and I probably don't have one right now.
I wouldn't. Not for any reason, per se, I don't think.
Would you purchase like hair products from like a known brand, but it's selling on TikTok Shop?
I think so. If it was, the brand was verified to be selling it on TikTok, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Would you purchase food from TikTok Shop?
No. Definitely not.
Icky.
Like candies,
Definitely not.
chips.
No.
Chips. I mean, if it's like you know those companies where it's like snacks from all over the world and you get to like like I would probably do that. But if they were creating them, I wouldn't.
How about a microfiber spin mop?
I have one of those. I
Sure.
did not get it off the TikTok shop.
Luggage is purchased on TikTok a lot.
What's their return policy like? Because like if I don't like something, can I return it like easily?
I think you can from like the seller.
Because I've been burned by like a random Amazon seller, and I don't really trust a lot of people anymore.
Trying to see like if it tells you. No, it doesn't really tell you much there.
I wouldn't, because I also like to feel my luggage before I buy it.
I mean, I'm kind of funny about my luggage, so probably not, because I'm just picky. Yeah.
An egg cooker.
No.
No, I'm good.
A milk frother.
No.
No.
I don't froth my
I
milk.
feel like a lot of these things, it's less that it's from TikTok and it's more we just don't need them, so we don't want to buy them.
Yeah.
So this website hasn't convinced you to get anything from TikTok Shop?
I have gotten a nail oil.
Ah.
Love that. But I've also, it was verified from the brand, and I've used the brand before TikTok was a thing. So they were just running a crazy deal, and I was like, ooh, let me scoop it up.
The cuticle oil?
Super good. If you would see the growth from right here, this is 2 weeks tomorrow, and there's a decent amount of growth. But yeah. Has TikTok Shop ever convinced you to buy anything?
I'm looking at it right now, and there's nothing here that I'm like convinced to buy. Oh,
Well, that's that. Did you have anything else on your list?
No.
Oh. I'm very scared of like using it. You know?
yes,
I don't want to be stolen. Have you ever bought anything from TikTok Shop? No? Yeah, both of you. Neither? Okay. Yeah, it scares me a bit. Do you know what's not scary?
God,
I mean, he can be,
probably.
but I was going to say God's heart. Have you heard the saying before that God is love?
No, I have not.
One more time.
Okay, I didn't hear you properly. Go ahead.
Have you ever heard someone say that God is love?
Yes,
What does that mean?
that God, his character is that of love.
What does it mean to have a character of love?
Or rather, no, not his character. It's his nature is love.
Okay.
His essence.
Okay. And what is how would that look to people? Like, how would you explain what that means?
It's a good question.
Like, what does it mean that his nature is?
I think going back to what we talked about last episode, right, where we said God interacts with us based on his character, not ours, right? I think then when you look at, okay, what if his nature is love, his characteristics, his everything kind of emanates from the fact that he is love. So I think that in trying to explain to someone else, it would be really that God operates from this place of, and I hate using the word love again, but I don't have like a better definition of it right now. Like in my head, it'd be use the for the word love, substitute, is it 1 Corinthians 13, that chapter about love that always gets quoted at like weddings and stuff?
Yeah.
Like insert that there, right? That definition of what is love.
Love is patient, love is kind, love is, yeah.
Right? Insert that there, and that's what God is. He's all of those things. Yeah.
Now, that standard of love, right? That is his nature. I think it's important to note that it's not our standard of what love is, right? And what makes it, how do we differentiate between our standard of love and God's standard of love? Like what that means?
Typically God's standard of love, maybe not his standard, but typically God's love is unconditional and ours is conditional. I don't know if that's what you meant by standard.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not the same. I put my foot on the bottom of the table. It didn't. Yeah. So conditional versus unconditional. I was gonna say his love is. So in Exodus 34, right? We talked about this a couple episodes ago as well. It says, okay, in verse 6, and he passed in front of Moses, God, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. Right? How would you describe what it means to be abounding in love? Like how could we picture that? Or how do you picture that?
For me, abounding in something talks about an abundance of something. So I would say we're talking about someone who has an overflow, right? They're not just filled with something or partially filled. They're filled to the brim and now it's overflowing. So when we talk about God abounding in love, we're talking about him not just having love for us, but having love for us in excess.
So, like, speaking of luggage, right? That we bought off TikTok shop, right? Have you ever like overpacked your bag so much where it couldn't close?
Yes, all the time.
That is how I picture God's love for all the time.
Yeah.
Why?
Because a lot of times I just start throwing stuff in, and then like I'll take out after. Like I'll just go through like laundry and stuff. Like, okay, I need this.
But I'm talking about like at the end when you're done packing.
Oh no, never mind. Yeah, no, never mind.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Maybe once or twice.
But yeah, that's what I picture God's love for us being like, right? That overflowing luggage or suitcase or backpack or whatever that you can't close because there's just so much stuff in there. That is my mental when I hear that.
So my mental picture, because I said abundance.
A bundt cake.
No.
I want a bundt.
So, you know those pictures of like food for like Thanksgiving, but not just like
the spread.
Yeah, but it's like when it has like the big like I don't even know what it's called. Is it like a gourd? Like it looks like a big like horn kind of thing.
The cornucopia.
Yes, that's what I was trying to remember the word.
A gourd is like a squash.
I feel like a gourd was not the right word, but I feel like gourd was appropriate. But like corn, like that's what I imagine when we talk about him abounding in love, just like
everything spilling out of the cornucopia. Yeah. Ooh, okay, yeah, that is good. That is good. Okay, so John 3:16. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Okay, so for God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son. I feel like I don't have any kids yet, but to send your only child to die to save other people is a crazy gesture.
Yes.
And I feel like the fact that like that was, first of all, the only solution, but second of all, that like, because yes, technically Jesus says go back to heaven and all the things, but to be the God that sends his child to go through all of that suffering and pain for the greater good, I feel like is wild. Because like, I don't know if I could be able to do that.
So I look at it differently.
Okay.
It wasn't the only solution
Okay.
because you have the Old Testament. And you have that God has made a way for people to have a relationship with him, right? It's just not the perfect relationship he wanted, right? So I think when it comes to him using Jesus specifically as the sacrifice, it was a point of, there's the idea of, okay, Jesus is perfect and all that, and we, like, that's not the point of what I'm trying to say, but it is the fact that he chose his son, right? Again, going back to what is God's nature? If it's love, then the greatest way he could show you and I love was to not just kill like a lamb or something like what he does for Adam and Eve when they first sinned, but rather no, he would send his only son to take the place for our sins. And I think, you know, that becomes the greatest act of love that we could think of.
Yeah, I agree. So with that perspective, right, of that being the greatest act of love, how does or how would that change someone's perspective on what it means when we say God is love? Or how should it change someone's perspective?
Well, I think it should make us understand that when we talk about God as love, it goes beyond just what we think love should be, right? Because I think a lot of us, we often experience imperfect versions of love. I think we also sometimes confuse love for lust or what's the other word I'm thinking of? Infatuation. Right? So most people today aren't laying down their lives for someone else. And as you said, most people today are not going to sacrifice their kid for someone else, right? There's probably some exceptions to that if you think maybe of soldiers and things like that. But even then, it's them putting their life on the line, typically not their child, right? So,
and I know a lot of like legacies, like army legacy or military legacies, where the parents did not want their child to go into it,
right?
Because, like, you know,
right. But even then, it's not like realistically the only way that would work in like an army scenario would be if a general has his son like serving under him and tells his son
Mulan. Not her, the general.
Oh, okay. I was about to say like her father wasn't there. Okay. Right. So in a situation like that, then yeah. Right. But so going back to the question, right? I think it's I'm like replaying half of Mulan in my head right now. I'm still replaying Mulan in my head right now. No, so God, when we talk about God as love, right, we're saying, okay, look, to me, there is this whole untapped, unexperienced level of love that most of us don't know how to even show to another person, but God is constantly sharing it with us. So when we talk about God as love, we're not just talking about that imperfect love that we've experienced, but we're talking about this much deeper, perfect love that only he can give, because God is perfect.
I think also like God's love is sacrificial, right? So in the same like instance of where he sent his son, right? He sacrificed his own son for us. A lot of times we wouldn't think to sacrifice other things for other people. Do you know what I mean? Like we said before, like our definition of love is oftentimes very conditional, right? I'll do it until I don't want to do it, or I'll do it until like it no longer serves me, or like whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna run out at some point sometimes. Whereas with God, it's like I've created you, I know you, I love you, despite it all. Like you are my creation, and I will love you until the end of time. And that kind of love and the way that he has sacrificed his son for us, it deepens what I used to think of God's love before. Because like growing up, everyone's like, yeah, God is love, like all the things, but it's like, what does that even mean? Especially like as a kid, when you think of like, well, for me, like when you think of like someone saying like, oh, I love you, most of the times it's like in like that like romantic sense, right? But like if you don't have that romantic experiences, that doesn't mean anything to you. So I think that kind of perspective of like God's sacrificial love, God's forgiving of us, right? God's grace towards us, all of that plays into the type of love that he provides for you, or that he shares with you or gives to you.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I guess in turn, when we have that relationship and we have experienced that love with God, then we can then use his love and spread it to other people. So there was a point where I was like questioning God's love, I guess, for me.
Okay.
If that makes sense, right? Like I had felt that I was so far from him that he could not love me anymore. I guess essentially. I guess not. Oh, that feels very deep. But but yeah, that was how I felt at a point. And then I was reminded of the fact that despite me furthering myself from God and his love, he has never stepped back from me, right? So he is at the same point where I started to walk back, I guess, if that makes sense, right? And so I was reminded that like he loves you, right? Like that's just what it is. So at that point I was like, you know what, you're right. You're so right. And so I had to like build my way back, because I like, we've talked about this before, where it's like we have a lot of times people feel as though I've done so much and God can't forgive me, or he doesn't love me, or he's turned away from me, or whatever. And we feel as though we need to earn it back to him, like earn our way back to him. So at that point I was like, you know what, you're right. But I still don't feel as though I have earned it. And so, it was at that point where I was like, I had to like really reconsider like what I thought of what God's love was. And I had to change what my thought of what like love in general was. To kind of match his more.
Yeah.
And then we came back from it, you know?
You know, you just described like the ending of the prodigal son story, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure you understand.
But it's like, it's so crazy to me, because like we know these things. Like I've grown up in church. I've heard all these stories. I've done all the, like I've not done all the things, but we've heard all the stories. We've learned all the lessons. But I feel like for me, until I go through something where I have experienced it, or if like I need like a real life example of it, and for my brain to like realize what it actually means.
Well, it's always different going from head knowledge to experience.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing if you're in school and you're learning something, and then you actually go out onto like a job site and you have to do something that you've learned in school. It's always it's different. But yeah, I think you kind of touch on something there where it's like a lot of us know God loves us, but until we end up in a situation to actually experience God's love, we don't fully understand it.
I think not just experience, but like accept what
Yeah.
that means. Because like a lot of times, like our own baggage or our own issues get in the way of that love, right? So how I don't want to say it like how would your baggage get in the way, because I feel like I guess yeah, how does your baggage get in the way?
Well, my initial thought would be is if you're holding on to your baggage, you really can't hold on to God's love, right? I think for all of us, baggage, it is our baggage is a tether to typically past trauma, right? Or past hurt, however you want to call it, right? And a lot of the times when we're carrying those bags with us, our focus is on carrying those and not putting ourselves in a position to, as you said, accept God's love or experience God's love, because we're more preoccupied with carrying that baggage, right? And I know someone's gonna be like, well, I'm not choosing to carry this. And I understand that, right? But again, when we talk about this perfect love that God is offering, right? I think part of that perfect love is that he's looking to heal us, right? So that baggage is no longer a tether to pain, right? Or it's a weight holding us back, but rather it can be a testimony to what God has done and maybe an encouragement to someone else.
I think to go with what you're saying, it's not necessarily that we choose to hold on to our baggage, but a lot of times you don't realize that you are. Right? So a lot of times it's that I feel this way because of this, this, and that. Not realizing that I can move past those things. Right? That God can help me to get past that, or that like I can put them down. And I think that's where the difference is, because I'm not choosing to hold on to these things. But if I don't recognize that this is what's getting in my way and this is the baggage, then it's going to stick around. Right?
Yeah.
And I think one other, I guess, description that we can use for God's love is steadfast.
Okay.
What does steadfast mean? What does it mean to be steadfast, I guess?
I'm going to say it means, I don't know if that's the right word though. I want to say like continual, or I don't know if never ending is the right word. It perseveres, something like along those lines. Oh, that was it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So one of the definitions that I pulled up was resolutely or dutifully, firm and unwavering.
Okay.
Okay. So continually, yes, I guess, or like never ending, yes. But yeah, I feel like the important part of that though is the unwavering part, because someone can, I guess, love you forever, but the way that they show that or express that may waver, if that makes sense. Right? Whereas with God, it is beautiful. His love is steadfast and unwavering and constant and always there. And that was like, on top of the fact that when I came to terms with that, right, and the fact that, were you looking at, I thought
No.
it was going to fall again. Okay. When I came to terms with the fact that his love is unwavering, right, and it's not conditional the way we have it, it's not like depending on this, this, and that, like if you have to do this to earn it or to keep it or to whatever, it has allowed me to give myself more grace, because it's not like any little mishap and he's going to take it away. Do you know what I mean? Thoughts?
I mean, I agree. I think, again, because we often view God as through this more like human lens, we think that, okay, no, I sinned and messed up, so God doesn't love me anymore.
Yep.
And things like that, where, again, God is perfect and his love for us is perfect. So he does not go and say, hey, you sinned and messed up, so now I don't love you anymore or anything like that. That's why he sent Jesus, to actually prove, hey, no, I still love you, to the point where I would lay down my own son for you. Yeah.
Okay. Last characteristic of his love.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
We say a lot of times God is good. Therefore, God's love will be good. Does that mean then that everything that he does will feel good?
No.
Why not?
Because something doesn't have to feel good for it to be good for you.
Yeah. It's like, you know what saying I haven't heard in a while? Tough love.
Okay.
Right? So, like, I love you, therefore you need to see this harsh truth, right? Or something like that. Like, not always along those lines, but like, I'm doing this because I love you. Like, it doesn't feel good in the moment, right? But once we get through that, then you'll see why I had to do this.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like that's a lot of times with God, that's kind of how it is, right? You have to get through the storm to see the growth. You have to like go through the hard times to learn a skill, to learn something. A lot of times he's not the one putting you through the storm, because a lot of times that's based off of our doing sometimes. But oftentimes we go through these storms because we need to learn something. We need to grow from the situation. We need to experience something that will help us further down the line. And so that doesn't mean that God doesn't love us because we're going through hard times, but more so he is there despite the hard times because he loves us. Nice. So, question. Has God used any of those like struggles, hard times, storms, whatever, to bring about good in your life?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Would you like to expand on them?
I mean, there's been situations where I would say I myself put myself in that storm or whatever, but God was able to reveal himself to me and maybe reveal certain things to me where it's like, oh no, okay, coming out of this, I'll be better for it because I've learned this, and this, or I've changed this habit, or I've changed this relationship, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So growth, essentially. If you don't do certain things, you won't learn certain things. All right. Yeah. So, actually, I don't like that question. I take it back. How do we remind ourselves about God's love? Or is it important to remind ourselves about the type of love that God has versus what we have? Does that question make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it does. We should be reminding ourselves of God's love for us. I'm trying to think of how to explain what I think it's going back to, okay, like realistically, if you love someone here on earth, you can, in some ways, I guess, show your love, right? Whether it's a gift or it's communication or whatever the case may be, you can show people your love. With God, because he is invisible, I think we have to be a little bit more self-conscious of the fact that he loves us and that we don't forget that, because sometimes in forgetting the fact that God loves us, we may act in ways in which we are, I feel like I worded that badly, but we're going to act in ways in which we think we're not loved. And that may sometimes put us in difficult situations or seasons of life.
I would say instead of self-conscious, I would say more intentional.
There we go. That's probably better.
More intentional about God's love, and not only what that means, but what that feels like. Because I feel like if you're not intentional about what it is and what if you have experienced it, right, what that felt like and what that looked like in your life, then it can be easier to slip into that like human understanding of what love is, right? But I think more often we need to remind ourselves that God is good. God is love. His love is unwavering and steadfast, and it will always be there for you, right? And you don't have to earn his love, right? But he gives it to you. You just need to accept it for what it is. And I think that is not the hard truth, but that is the truth that we constantly need to remind ourselves. That's what I needed to remind myself, right? When I was going through what I was going through. Because that is, like we spoke about in the last episode, right? The devil is the father of lies. That is one of the things that I constantly had to remind myself because I was constantly thinking or being told otherwise.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
God is love.
Word.